Hey everyone, welcome to week 10 of 20 for 20. This is 20 weeks of teaching about marriage that really represents 1 year for every week that I've been married. Now, this is the halfway point, and the halfway point in my marriage was pivotal. You see, the first 10 years of my marriage, I struggled hard when it came to the topics or the acts of sex and intimacy. You see, I thought they were the same thing. I thought that sex equaled intimacy, and I thought that intimacy equaled sex. But what I didn't realize was they're totally two different things, but when they're both present in the context of marriage, it is a recipe for a really fantastic treat. Well, certain things that happened to me when I was growing up really shaped the way that I would live out the first 10 years of my marriage. Growing up, I didn't see men do honorable things. In fact, I witnessed men that were in my life. They viewed porn with me right there on the couch as a little girl. I witnessed sexual acts that I should have never been allowed to witness. And more so than that, we were put in volatile situations that lended us to our physical bodies to be in harm's way, I should say. Well, one of those things, and I haven't shared this with a lot of people, and so I'm a little bit nervous to share with you, but I'm going to do it anyways. And it took me 10 years to share this with my husband. But we lived with a family who had a teenage boy, and that teenage boy forced me to do some sexual things to him and with him that really wreaked havoc on my marriage. Because of those things that he forced me to do, I made vows and judgments about things that I would do in the future. Like, I will never let a man feel powerful over me or my body. I will never give my heart to a man because he's gonna use it and abuse it. I will never statements that really were toxic for my thinking and toxic for intimacy. You see, intimacy is this invisible line that connects you and another person. It connects me and it connects my husband. And it connects in a way that really requires it to be a verb, right? Sex we could have with anybody. Sex could happen between two people that hook up at a nightclub. It could happen. There's an entire industry built around sex, and it's not healthy. But intimacy is not a thriving industry because it's a verb, and it requires something of us, of our insides, of our guts, right? It requires us to pour something out for another human and to be vulnerable and open to receive what they have to give to us. And that, my friends, is what I didn't realize that Tim was after for 10 years. Yes, he wanted me sexually. He wanted to be able to connect with me in a sexual way, not just be a mechanical exchange of just our bodies. He wanted to connect with me emotionally, and he wanted me to give my heart wholly to him. And it was something I refused to do because of experiences I had as a little girl. Now, maybe you don't find yourself on the spectrum of ever being abused. I don't think you need to find yourself there in order to be reserving a little bit of yourself or your heart from your spouse. Now, whether you've made vows or judgments, I'm not sure, but I bet you know. And here's the hope of the story. Sex can be really, really fantastic. And where sex and intimacy are present in your marriage, there is growth and there is healing that can take place. Now, because Tim was willing to wait and be patient and listen and love me through my own hurt and hang-ups, we are now able to walk in freedom when it comes to sex. Now, I want to tell you about a story of a couple who have really fought hard for intimacy in their marriage. For 53 years, Bob and Sandy have been married. Bob and Sandy have raised a family together, and a few years ago, Bob started to get sick. His mind was being taken by the terrible disease of dementia. Well, through that process, Sandy was his sole caregiver, and unable to she was having to take care of all the mundane needs that she knew. It became a point where she realized, I'm going to have to give up some of these duties in order for me to love him and continue to pursue him with all the best ways, right? So recently, Bob went into a care facility. And this is intimacy. This is why I'm telling this story, is because Sandy, because of her love for Bob that's been cultivated, that they probably didn't even realize they were cultivating for 53 years, she drives 80 minutes round trip to see him every single day, to read with him, to pray with him, to dance with him. They cuddle up on the couch, and when I asked her about this, he still does things to try to get frisky, even when he can't totally communicate with her. But it's because they cultivated intimacy. You guys, that's what we're all after. Whether we've made vows and judgments way over here because of things that have happened to us, or we find ourselves where Bob and Sandy are right now. Either way, we're somewhere on the spectrum, right? We want the love story. And I believe it takes place when we give our hearts in intimacy and sexually are able to connect as a spouse. I want to give away this week this book by Dr. Kevin Leman. It is called Sheet Music, and it's Uncovering the Secrets of Sexual Intimacy in Marriage. This book has been pivotal in Tim and I's marriage. You guys, I recommend you read this book on one of those getaways that we talked about, remember? Go with the intention of reading this book. You will learn a lot about your spouse. It's very, very in-depth, and it could be scary, but I'm a person that this kind of thing scared. And this worded it in a way that Tim loved and that I loved, and allowed us to have fun together and communicate about a topic that was sometimes a little bit hard. And I want to send some of these out to you. So if you like, if you share, if you tag your spouse in this post, I will be sending out at least 3 of these, but I might surprise and send out maybe 5 or 6 of them. Who knows? But I want this book to be in your hands. It's life-giving, and it changed the way I viewed sex and intimacy. It's been so healing. You guys, march forward with the intent of really loving your spouse through little everyday gestures that draw your hearts close to each other, so that sex can be something that's both intimate and sexual and brings you guys together. Have a fantastic week. Bye, guys.